Hello, incredible viewers. How are you all? I welcome you all to my channel Social Science with Shilpa. So, in today's video, we are going to talk about Chapter 2 Natural Resources, Land, Soil, and Water from our geography book of grade 8. Though this chapter seems to be a little easy, but there are certain terms which we need to understand, otherwise, it will confuse us in our examination. So, do watch the video till the end. So let's begin our chapter with the learning objectives. The first objective of learning this chapter is to analyze the need for conservation of land resources. Then second is the conservation of the soil. As Franklin Roosevelt said, a nation that destroys its soil destroys itself. So we need to take remedial steps towards the conservation of the soil. Third and last, we need to learn how to conserve water resources. Now let us quickly learn about the key terms for the better understanding of the chapter. So the first key term is the humus. It's the organic matter that is made up of decayed plants and dead organisms. And this humus increases the fertility of the soil. It's a natural manure to the soil. Next is the leaching. It's a process by which the essential salts, nutrients and minerals which are already present in the soil, they get drained out or washed away because of the heavy rain. Next is the weathering, the breaking up and the decay of the exposed rocks. There are multiple reasons for such weathering of the rocks. That could be the change in the temperature or the frost action or the activity by plants, animals or the humans. Last is the soil erosion. The removal of the fertile topsoil is known as the soil erosion. You can also watch out my video on the difference between weathering and erosion. I hope it's clear to everyone. So the first topic of our video, land. Land is the most basic resource. It satisfies around 95% of the needs that related to food, clothing and shelter. Moreover, the animals are also dependent on land for their food and their shelter. And you'll be surprised to know around 90% of the world population lives only on 30% of its land area. So means the other 10% lives occupies the other 70%. Such a wide, uneven distribution of the land and the population throughout the world. The land where we live is used for different purposes. That purpose could be of the houses or constructing the factories, or could be a plain land, or it could be the agricultural land, mining activity, or it could be a grassland. So it is used for different purposes. So such utilization of land is called the land use. And it depends upon different factors. That could be physical, economic, or human. Even the human activities, they depend on the type of land they live on. So we will learn about the different types of land and the different human activities depending on the type of land. Of land. First is the mountain. Mountain, we all know, is the home to variety of flora and fauna. It provides many useful products. It could be herbs or medicinal plants. It's a source of perennial rivers and also help in the formation of soil because the fine soil which is brought by the rivers from the mountain which increase the fertility of the plains. And tourism based industry is the main industry in the mountainous region. Next type of land is the plateau. It is also a highland but with flat top. It's a storehouse of minerals and a tourist attraction as well because of many beautiful waterfalls formed by the rivers on the plateau. Here, the industry which flourishes is the mining industry. Mining activity and mining based industry is the main work which we can say performed by the people living in the plateau region. The third type of land is the plains. Plains we know is a most densely populated region of the world. The reasons also we have learned in our junior classes, it has rich fertile soil, which is good for farming. The human habitation is very comfortable in the plains because of the ease in making the roads, transportation, houses, and communication facilities. Even the cheap labor for industry is available along with the abundance of raw material. So in the plains, the agro-based industry and agriculture is a main activity performed by the humans. Let's learn the comparative land use in the world. If we compare the use of land in developed and developing nations, so we can see that the developed nation, they get better output of the same piece of land. That is because of the availability of technology. The technology of the developed nation is very much advanced, which can make the best possible use of available land resources. Whereas in the Asian and African countries, because of the increasing urbanization, increase in the density of the population, the mining activity is rising. The mountains are being cut. The forests are being cleared. The excessive irrigation and the chemical fertilizers usage is spoiling the productivity of the land. And this ever growing demand for housing to meet the increasing population and the food demand has resulted in the large scale destruction of the arable land and forest cover. Now, question would arise, ma'am, what is arable land? So, arable land is a land which is fit for cultivation. So, because of the ever increasing demand for housing, the agriculturable land is being destructed for making the buildings. Now, let's move to the next slide. Now we have understood that land is an important resource since it meets around 95% of our needs directly or indirectly. So it is our responsibility to conserve the land resources. So let us discuss few ways through which we can conserve the natural resources for the future generation. So the first is the conserving the soil and the forest. Means by planting more and more trees, adopting scientific techniques to make the best use of the available resources. Then, most important, regulated and judicious use of the fertilizers. Because we know these pesticides and fertilizers are chemical based. And chemicals, they always cause harm directly or indirectly to humans, animals, and the plants, and even the soil. So if we use organic manure instead of chemical fertilizers, it will add to the nutrients of the soil and the microorganism along with the nutrients, they will increase the fertility of soil and will get a better plant growth. Next is checking desertification. We need to keep a check that no land is left without a grass cover or without pasture. Next is afforestation and land reclamation, checking overgrazing. No area should be overgrazed that it would be exposed to erosion which may remove the top fertile layer of the soil. Next is the improving the irrigation facilities. With improvement in the technology, advancement by the human, new innovations, some new techniques have been developed by the humans to improve the farming techniques, to improve the irrigation because we know that water is also a scarce resource. The water which is fit for consumption is very less if we compare to the water which is salty. So we need to use the techniques which may help us in efficient utilization of the available resources. I hope the conservation of the land resources is clear to everyone. Now, one topic landslide, since we are talking about land, so it is mandatory to talk about landslide. It is a form of mass movement which displaces the material like rock or debris on the earth, and especially it takes place in the hilly areas. As the word implies, landslide, sliding of the land, displacement of the land, of the rocks from one place to another. And one such happens because of the heavy rainfall, which causes heavy landslide and can even block the flow of river. It may lead to the harm to the people and the property living in that particular region. So humans have developed certain mechanisms to prevent landslide. Some scientific techniques have been devised, like construction of retention walls, which help in preventing land from slipping. Next is the afforestation. Now we have been learning from our junior classes afforestation means planting of more and more trees, because we know that the plants, the roots of the plants, they hold the soil and does not let it slip off or being eroded. Third and last, drainage control means if we have efficient drainage system in every region of the country, we can minimize the landslides or the harm caused due to landslide. The next topic of the chapter, soil. Now, what is soil? How it is made? What are different layers of the soil and types and the need for the conservation? Let us talk about soil in detail now. The thin layer of grainy substance covering the surface of the earth is called soil. It is formed because of the wear and tear of rocks. Means the breaking of the rocks lead to the formation of the soil. Although it's a very slow process. Now, the process of the soil formation takes thousands of years. And in thousands of years, just a thin layer of 2 to 3 centimeters is formed. So you can very well imagine how slow the process is. There are various factors that contribute in the formation of the soil. So let us learn the such factors. Nature of the parent rock, the type of rock from which the matter has been weathered, from which those particles have been formed, affect the formation of the soil. Second is the climatic condition, the condition of the area, the relief feature, the physical features of an area, they affect in the formation of the soil. Then the humus content and the time period, they also affect in the formation of soil and also increases the fertility of soil. We can see a brief detail about all these 5 factors. So parent rock determines the color, texture, chemical properties, minerals and the content in the soil. Then the climatic factor like temperature, rainfall, they influence the rate of weathering and the humus formation. Then the relief feature. So relief, as I said, the physical feature, the altitude, the height and the slope, they determine the accumulation of the soil. Flora, fauna and microorganism, they affect the rate of the humus formation. And the time, the most important factor, it determines the thickness of the soil profile. So as I discussed in the beginning of this slide, that it takes thousands of years for the formation of a thin layer of 2 to 3 centimeters. So time plays a major role in the formation of the soil. So I hope it's clear to everyone. Now let's move to the next slide. Now the soil about which we are talking, it develops in horizontal layers. So such horizontal formation of the soil is known as soil profile. So soil profile is a sample taken from the surface down through the soil. So this horizontal layer of soil is called soil horizons. So let us see about these 4 horizons. So the first and the topmost is the topsoil, horizon A. Side by side, keep on looking at the diagram, children. Topsoil, A horizon, often rich in humus and minerals. Then the second is the subsoil or B horizon. It is poor in humus but rich in minerals. The third layer is the rock fragments. So here little or no plants or animal life because it is rocky surface. Whereas the fourth and the last, the lowest is the bedrock. So this is the soil profile, the horizontal layers of the soil which are known as soil horizons. So there are four horizons: topsoil, horizon A, subsoil is horizon B, soil rock fragment, sorry, is horizon C, and the bedrock is horizon D. Moving to the soils of India. We all know India is an agricultural country. We have variety of climate, we have different relief features, different type of rocks are found in the Indian land. So all such factors affect in the availability of variety of soils. And these variety of soils support a variety of plants. Because we all know that Indian land, at some places we can grow rice, other places we can grow coffee, some place we can grow tea and food crops and the variety of crops. So all this is possible because of the variety of soils like the alluvial soil, the black soil, red soil, laterite soil, mountain soil and the desert soil. The cultivation of crop depends upon the soil fertility and the type of soil. So let us quickly take a look at the types of soil which are available on the Indian subcontinent. So the red soil, then alluvial and the black soil. Next we have the mountain soil, the desert soil and the laterite soil. Now quickly let us learn one line about each type of soil. I'm starting with the mountain soil. Mountain soil is that soil which is found in the mountains, as the name implies, and it is that type of soil which is rich in humus content, in the organic matter. So, indirectly, I would say it is the fertile soil. Then, moving to the desert soil, it's a soil which is available on the desert region, found in the hot and the semi arid regions of the country. And if we say in India, the Thar Desert, the Rajasthan area, some parts of Gujarat also have this type of soil. With the help of irrigation facility, we can grow crops in this soil also. The third type, the laterite soil. It's a soil which is basically found in the northeastern region or the western Ghat regions of the country. And this soil is not so fertile because of the leaching process. In the beginning only I discussed with you what is leaching. It's a process of the removal of the top fertile layer because of the heavy rainfall. So this soil, but yes, with the help of some fertilizers and manure, it can also support a good plant growth. Then the most widespread type of plant is the alluvial, the most widespread type of soil is the alluvial soil. It is this soil which is found in the northern plains, the coastal plains, and the delta regions of the various rivers of the country. And it is this soil which supports all types of plants, all types of plant growth. Next is the black soil. It is a soil which is formed from the dark igneous rocks. It is found in the northwestern part of the country, of the Deccan Plateau region. And it is that soil which supports the growth of the cotton, sugarcane, oilseeds, etc. Then the red soil. The name red. Why the name red? Because of the presence of the iron oxide. It is also the soil which is not so fertile, but yes, with the regular use of organic manure and the fertilizers, it can be made fertile. And this type of soil, red soil, is found in the southern and the eastern part of the southern plateau. So that was all about the soils of India. Now let's move to the next slide. Depletion of soil fertility. So we all know that with the continuous use and the use of the unscientific methods, we can deplete the fertility of soil. So this removal of topsoil is called soil erosion. Various human activities they lead to the depletion of the fertility. That could be like deforestation or the overgrazing, overutilization of land, and even the adaptation of unscientific farming methods. All these lead to depletion of the soil fertility. And we know with the depletion of the soil fertility, the crop production would not be so good, ultimately affecting the farmer and the country as a whole. Let us talk about soil conservation because we know depleting the soil affects the farmer and the country. So we need to conserve this essential resource. The protection of soil from physical as well as chemical deterioration is called soil conservation. So in the coming slides, we will learn various farming techniques which can be adopted to conserve the fertile layer or the top layer of the soil. Methods of soil conservation. The first and foremost is afforestation, growing of more and more plants. Next is checking overgrazing, means not letting the plant remove the or eat away the part or a particular pasture completely, which will lead the soil exposed to the erosion. Next is crop rotation. Crop rotation is a type of farming method, a scientific method which can be adopted by the farmers to regain the fertility of soil by growing two different types of crop on rotation, one after another. Then next is the contour plowing and the terrace farming. Now, contour plowing and terrace farming, they both have one thing in common. What is common? That they both are performed on the slopes of the hill. Contour plowing and terrace farming, they both are performed on the hill slope. But what is the point of difference between both? In contour plowing, the slope of the hill is not altered. It remains unaffected. Whereas in terrace farming, the terrace is made. The steps are cut down in the hill slope for the farming. So remember one thing, in contour plowing, the done on the slopes of hill only, but without changing the hill slope. But in terrace farming, the slopes are cut down. So I hope these 5 methods are clear. In the coming slide, we will talk about some more methods of soil conservation. Strip cropping. Now, very interesting and innovative technique adopted by the human to regain the fertility or to stop depletion of the soil fertility. As we can see in the picture, in one strip they have grown maize. In the next strip, this lesser green pasture area, they have grown soya bean. And in the third layer, they have grown oats. So three crops being grown simultaneously in a strip. So has been given a name, strip cropping. Next is the cover crop. Now, when we say cover crop, it is that type of farming technique in which in the orchard or the place where the fruits or vegetables are grown, some young trees are grown in between the plants they have planted to check soil erosion. Like leguminous crops are often used to add the nitrogen in the soil, means to regain the fertility of the soil. Next is planting shelter belts. Again, a very unique way in the dry areas where blows very often and it erodes the soil, the top layer of the soil. Trees are grown in row and shrubs are planted to reduce the speed of wind to protect the soil, and such rows are known as shelter belts. As we can see in the picture, in the field on the boundary, we can see the trees are grown to reduce the speed of the wind so that the soil erosion can be minimized. Then last we have the rock dams. Now what are rock dams? They are the small, or we can say small obstructions produced on the way of the river to slow down the speed of a river. because when the speed of a river would be slowed down, it will lead to the less erosion by the river. Ultimately, we can maintain the fertility of the soil. So these were some more ways through which human being can conserve the soil, the important resource which is essential for each and every living organism. So now moving to the water, the third and the last topic of the chapter. We all know Earth is called a watery planet or the blue planet because 70% of the total surface area of Earth is covered with water. But you would be surprised to know out of that 70%, only 1% is fit for human consumption because that 1% is readily available to us in the form of river, lakes, ponds, and streams. Whereas we have 2 more% which is fresh water, but that is in frozen form in the form of glaciers or ice caps. So we are left with just this 1%. So we need to conserve the water resource. So rain is the main source of fresh water. It gathers as fresh water in the rivers, in the lakes, and the ponds. So I hope it is clear why water is an essential resource and why we need to conserve it. So please don't forget, although Earth is a watery planet, but the edible water or potable water is just 1% which is readily available. We have 2 more%, but that is in the form of ice caps. Scarcity of water. We all know water, though available, but the availability is very less. There is unequal distribution of water on the earth. So the existing resources of fresh water are either drying up or getting polluted. So there are various reasons for all such problems which have been arise due to water scarcity. One reason like the increasing population. Because of increasing population, the demand for food is also rising. And with the increasing urbanization around the world, the standard of living has also risen. So all these factors have created the problem of water scarcity at the global level. So we need to conserve water, we need to preserve water. In India, we all know that India gets plenty of rainfall, but only at certain places. Some places get such a plenty rainfall that they often experience flood during the monsoon season. And some areas they dry up. The people have to walk miles to fetch water. So there is such uneven distribution of the rainfall in the country. So certain multi-purpose projects like Bhakra Nangal Dam on River Satluj, they are built up. They are known as temples of modern India. Why they are called so? Because the several purposes they serve at the same time. Purpose like irrigation, controlling floods, generating electricity, that is the hydel power, and the breeding of the fishes. So ultimately giving a source of income to the people living in the nearby areas. So that is why such dams are known as multi-purpose project, means serving many purposes at the same time. So let's have a look at the map of India with the dams on the major rivers of the country. Water conservation. Certain measures that can be taken for water conservation are like afforestation, plantation of trees. We all know that plants play a very important role in the prevention of the soil erosion, in maintaining the fertility of soil, and even in bringing rain. Water harvesting in the urban and rural areas. This is again a very small, simple, but very effective step that can be taken to preserve water. Efficient irrigation methods. The old techniques which were used, they lead to wastage of lot of water. So such new innovative techniques like sprinklers and drip irrigation, they help in saving water and in better agriculture. The last, recycling the wastewater. We all know water is a precious resource. So we need to recycle wastewater so that it can be put to some other uses. So I would end my space session with a question for you all to think upon. What has caused change in the land use pattern in Rajasthan? And how has that change helped the people there? So do find it out and do mention in the comment box below. One life skill question for you all. Make a beautiful poster to spread awareness in your neighborhood regarding rainwater harvesting. As you all know, saving water is everyone's responsibility. So thank you everyone for watching my channel, for watching my video. Do share, like and subscribe it. Your own channel, Social Science with Shilpa. And don't forget to write your valuable suggestions and comments in the comment box. Till then, take care and all the best for examination. Bye bye.